So the next manuscript we're going to be looking at is a 13th century manuscript. It's a very popular text. It's actually two texts that are bound together, but they're by the same author, Algorismus and Tractatum de sphaera, and they're by Joannes de Sacro Bosco. And he was active in sort of the early 13th century. And this manuscript sort of dates from around the time that he died, I think. You're going to say more about that.
So this manuscript comes from around the same time period that he died, which was, he dies in the 1250s, I think around 1256. And so this manuscript would have been written either within his lifetime, right at the end, or within a generation of his death.
Yeah.
And like you say, that it's popular. This thing gets copied really quickly and sort of like all over the place in Europe.
Mm-hmm. And translated into different languages. We have, I think it's not the text itself, but we have commentaries on this text that are in Hebrew and Greek. It got all over.
And he's not just sort of creating this stuff on his own in a vacuum. He's using a lot of scientific knowledge that's coming from the Arabic world, especially out of Islamic sources, who are going back to Greek sources for science and astronomy. And then he's picking up on those and translating some into Latin and adding his own commentary and spin on it. And then this is really the time period when science is booming in the West as people are going back to the Eastern sources and learning from Arabic authors and bringing it over into Europe. So it's a really exciting time.
Mm-hmm. So let's take a look inside, because this one has, in addition to the text, of course, it has a lot of diagrams that are really interesting. So this is 28 recto. And what is going on here? Do you know?
That's really great. It looks like it's a chart of sort of the Earth at the center, I assume, because they didn't have an understanding of the world as heliocentric or sort of with the sun at the center yet, right?
Right.
So this is Earth-centric or geocentric. And they're charting, it looks like, the way that the sun and moon circle the Earth.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And interesting in terms of the book itself, the page at some point was torn, and so they sewed it up with a little bit of thread, which is sort of neat, right through the middle of that diagram. But that's neat. And this, I mean, it doesn't look exactly like any of the ones from the Star Wars manuscripts, but it's clearly the same sort of idea in terms of here are the spheres, here's how they relate to each other, kind of thing.
That's right. It's very much people trying to work through how the world fits within this larger system, or how the larger system fits around the world, really, from their perspective.
I mean, that's a good point. And so here are another couple on 28 verso and 29 recto. And again, it looks like this one is an eclipse, or
I think so. I think this is supposed to be a lunar eclipse.
I think so. Do you think so? With the yes it is. So there's the Earth and the moon and the sun. There we go.
Right, and on the other side we see it, and they actually have it labeled as Luna.
Yes, and that's a Luna solar eclipse with a moon between.
That's right.
Cool.